In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a game object move with CraftStudio. I'm going to start by running CraftStudio and creating a new project. My server is already running, I think. No, okay, so I just started it. And now I can click on Manage, Add or Create Project, Connect, and Create New Project. So let's call it Moving Guy. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import a model from another project because what I'm going to focus on today is scripting, so I don't want to bore you with modeling. So we're going to pick this guy, which is pretty fancy. So I can import and export stuff by going in the administration tab and then import export pane. So I'm going to take this one and export him to the desktop. Let's say guy, okay. And now I'm gonna move back to my own project and import the same stuff. Okay, so I'm going to rename him and remove this folder. And there we go. Now we've got our guy in our little project. So I'm going to create a new scene, make a new game object, and add a model render component to it to display the guy. Yeah, and now I'm going to add a camera game object so that we actually see something when we run the game. And I'm going to go with a top-down view. Something like that. I'm going to center it. We should be good. I'm going to set up the startup scene so that we can run the game. And run. Okay, so that looks good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some scripting to this guy. So I just added a scripted behavior. Now I need to create the actual script. We're gonna call it player control and we're gonna make it a visual script. And by clicking here I can open my new script. So when a new script is created, you can see it has two initial nodes, on awake and on update. On awake is executed only once when the game object is initialized, so at the start of the game, and on update is executed 60 times a second. So that's basically our ongoing stuff while the game runs. I'm going to remove the awake node because we're not gonna need it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to set up some game controls. I'm going to remove the default ones that I did when I created the project, and I'm going to add an up game control, which I'll bind to the up key, a down game control to down key, left and right. Okay, so I've got my 4 game controls here, and now I can add a node of type isButtonDown, and I can specify here which button I want to test for, and I'm going to grab an if block and put the condition as a test within it. So now whatever I plug here is going to be executed only if this condition is true. And since we're inside the update block, our test is going to be run 60 times a second, and whatever we put here will happen 60 times a second as long as the up button is down. I'm going to grab a print node here, which will allow us to display some text, and yeah, I'm gonna take this and print, yay! Okay, let's try that out. So I run the game, and I press up, and when I press up, you can see in the runtime report here we've got yay being displayed. So our condition does work, and now we can just remove this and do something useful instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a move game object node, and this node lets me specify which game object I want to move and by how much. I'm going to use a value of node to specify that I want to move the game object which our script is linked to. So self represents our script. The dot is ownership relationship between the script and the game object. And game object is just well, the name of the property that exists on self, and which well, obviously gives us the game object our script is linked on, attached to. Okay, and I'm going to take a vector, and the offset is defined by 3 values on each axis. So as you can see here, I've got the x-axis, which moves left or right, the y-axis, which is up or down, and the z-axis, which is forward or backward. So when we press up, I want to move forward. So if I put point 1 here and I start, when I press up, you can see our guy goes down. So why does he go down? That's because the axis here is pointing forward. So I need to use minus 0.1 so that it will move upwards. Let's try again, and now you can see he moves upwards. So now what can I do? I can simply duplicate this, replace up by down. To duplicate a block, I just press Ctrl D once it's selected. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and make this positive so that it goes down, and I can duplicate this 2 more times for left and right. And now we're gonna use the x-axis. So left is minus 0.1, as you can see, x-axis minus here, positive here, right, positive 0.1. Okay, and now if I run the game, you can see I can move around. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.